Well, Scott, it had been a while, so why not talk about Embracer Group once again? That's right, Embracer
Oh,
Group.
do we have to?
I'm afraid so. Embracer Group announces plans to split into three separate companies. What is happening over here? The Chris Scullion over at VGC. Don't forget, though, if you want to keep up with everything we do and our socials, head over to itgtv.com. But Scott, let's get into today's article. The group will separate into three companies: Asmodee, Coffee Stain and Friends, and Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends. What a horrible name. Each of which will be listed as separate company on NASDAQ Stockholm. As part of the separation process, Embracer has entered into a new financing agreement through Asmodee, which is worth $1.3 billion. Embracer says the proceeds from this will, quote, repay existing debt and reduce leverage in the remaining Embracer group, end quote. Asmodee will continue to operate as a publisher and distributor of board games, trading cards, and digital board games, and will consist of 23 fully owned studios. Coffee Stain and Friends will focus on PC, console, and mobile games, including, quote, community-driven free-to-play games, live ops games, and indie/AA games, end quote. It will operate under premium and free-to-play divisions. The premium segment will consist of Coffee Stain, THQ Nordic, Ghost Ship, Tuxedo Labs, Tarzer, Amplifier Game Invest, and others. Finally, Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends. Man, it is such a cringy title.
Who comes up?
Yeah.
Who comes up with these?
I don't know, man. They should have rethought that one. It's the whole and Friends thing that just gets me. You should have just left it off. Middle Earth Enterprises would have been just fine, I think. The minute you say and Friends, ugh, I don't know, it just feels weird.
You know, my name is misspelt, but I feel like I can come up with better names than this.
That's very true. 1 T instead of 2. I blame your mother on that one. Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends will be, quote, creative powerhouse in AAA game development and publishing for PC console, end quote. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens here. But, dude, they've got some pretty big IPs to work with, though, right? It will go with, well, Lord of the Rings. That's to be determined still. We all played Gollum, or at least some of us did, and some of us didn't want to.
Yeah, that's not exactly one of the powerhouse IPs that's going to bring them in a whole lot of money. Unless they want to redo those PlayStation 2 era games. PlayStation 3 era games? You remember those? About the movies?
Yep. Yeah. Can we get...
Those were so good.
Another Shadow of War game? Like, let's
Yeah.
get into Shadow of Mordor. Like, what a missed opportunity to not bring those back. Even if they just remastered them or something at this point, they need something to save them. But we also know they're getting Tomb Raider IPs. They're also in the likes of Dead Island, Metro, and Kingdom Come Deliverance, which means Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Scott, coming this year, might just save them a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah, that could stand to make that a very good idea to hold on to those IPs, because everybody seemed to be really excited about this game, although it wasn't very commercially successful the first time around.
I wonder if it was like, will it have the shiny moment of the Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2? People got hooked on 1, but with the repetitive nature of that entire game, right? And then they went into 2, then it really exploded and brought Assassin's Creed to this whole other level. I wonder if that's where Kingdom Come comes in, where when we get Deliverance 2, is that where, like, all of a sudden Warhammer Studios just becomes a shining light in a sense, right? Or a shining knight. Scott, studios joining Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends will include Crystal Dynamics, huge fan of them, Dam Buster, Eidos Montreal, love them as well, Flying Wild Hog, Tripwire is great to see there, Vertigo Games, Warhammer Studios, and 4A Games. In an open letter to shareholders, Embracer Group CEO Lars Wingsfors said the decision to split the group into 3 separate entities will help with the work to different strategies. Quote, there is not one way to do business, but some business models are more similar than others, end quote. He explained, quote, the same goes for business people. The ambitions may be similar, but the approach differs. The similarities between businesses that will make up Asmodee, Coffee Stain and Friends, and Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends are striking, but so are also the differences when it comes to go-to-market strategies and business profiles. All the companies have bright futures ahead by perfecting what is coming to each of them and by continuing to cooperate when it makes sense. Scott, Are you nervous at all for this?
It kind of seems like they're just multiplying now. Is this
Weird.
going to be just three Embracer groups causing the same issues? Differentiating different strategies is one thing, and that makes sense when you're splitting the board game section away from video games. That could make sense in that term, but I just don't know if this is going to be enough to kind of spur on growth. Is this a leadership debate or discrepancy where now they're splitting so that each person can kind of go do their own thing? They can kind of head these companies in different directions. Perhaps not everybody wants to just sell everything into the ground.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see them take this approach. I don't think I've ever seen a company move in this direction. Where, like, take a look at PlayStation, or even take a look at Xbox, right? They all have different studios, but they're all under the umbrella of PlayStation or the umbrella of Microsoft, being Xbox. At the end of the day, Coffee Stain and Friends, Middle Earth, like, they're all still under Embracer Group. Do you just sanction them off in different factions, more or less? So I wonder then, and this is where I don't really know, but I'm questioning. Are they getting into different tax brackets because now they separate the company, right? So they're not going to get hit so hard as under one big massive entity. They're like, well, this is owned over here by now Coffee Stain and Friends. This over here is Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends, you know. And so because they're able to chunk it out a little bit, I wonder if there's a bit of a break that they're gonna hopefully help get, which then will alleviate and lift them up higher and put them in a better place for businesses and the studios themselves. At the end of the day, dude, the only people I really care about are the studios. Crystal Dynamics, Warhorse, like Eidos Montreal, all these people that are still under the Embracer umbrella, those are the ones I'm worried for. And I'm hoping that this is the way that they can solve the issue. They don't have to sell off. I still don't know if you really want to be under Embracer Group at the end of the day, right? And like Gearbox is gone. Yeah. Gearbox is now back with Take-Two. It's so weird to see all these studios just kind of disappear and branch out or even get closed down.
Some of them have been shut down, yeah, and we just won't ever get them back, no matter how Embracer chooses to split. But I also wonder if this is just some way of kind of scapegoating one of these three entities. Yeah. Hey, all of the sales, all the closings, it was actually these guys, and they're gone now. We got rid of them, don't worry. And just kind of save face with the consumer base, because if you know anything about Embracer, it's that they're a scourge on the industry.
Yeah, it hasn't left a good taste in anybody's mouth with the word Embracer Group, right? So when you get into that frame and you go, huh, I don't know, we'll see how this goes. Maybe this could be the shining light, man. This might bring them out of where they are right now, and hopefully, like, when they started buying them all up, we're like, what are you guys doing? And yet we still haven't seen anything solid come out of them yet, right? So I don't know. Maybe Warhorse is the one that's going to lead the charge to kind of put them on their path, but time will tell. We'll see what happens, man. I don't know. I'm still just as baffled by this as anybody else, I think.